What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing this Saturday evening? We are back for the inaugural show, episode 284, 2023. We got a phenomenal guest. Shout out to everybody in chat. I'm seeing everybody hanging out already. Lore Master, Shonsu, Psycho, Andrew, everybody in chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Once again, tell a friend to tell a friend. Retweet the link. Let everybody know we are live at the Shop Podcast. Come hang out with us. Come get that good gaming talk to wrap up your Saturday evening, man. Shout out to everybody watching us live. I see you, RSJ. Thank you for the support. Appreciate you. Everybody out there in TV land watching us later as well. Shout out to you guys watching us later on the restream. But let's go ahead and get started, man. We got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a phenomenal show. I've been chomping at the bits all week. To get to this show. We got a great guest once again, and we'll start with her. So I'll go ahead and get a start here. So, what more can I say? She's a returning guest on the show. One of my favorite people in gaming, a gamer of many hats. She is a streamer. She does podcasts, hosts an XI podcast. Shout out to them as well. Writer for Game On also. Shout out to you, Doom Cutie. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening, or not evening for you, but evening for us here on this particular part of the globe. So shout out to you for hanging out with us. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Oh, thank you so much. You can find all my links at doomqt.com because I have my own all my links there, so you'll be able to find me. But most of the time, you will find me on Twitter, you'll find me on Instagram, you'll find me on Twitch. I am endeavoring to upload more videos to my YouTube channel, trying to grow that, so that's awesome. In regards to my writing, we're back working on the 16th of January. So we're having a little bit of break, although the recent technology convention has been taking up a little bit of our time. So we're getting content out about that. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So thank you so much for welcoming me back. You guys are awesome.
Awesome. Shout out to you once again for hanging out with us. Once again, thank you for just chilling here with us. She is a returning guest. Please, you guys know what we do here. Show love, show support for the guests here to show us love at the Shop Podcast. All of her information is down in the description. The website's down there. The Twitter link's down there. I'm sure that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of her. I'm sure she has all of that information as well. And we'll tell you guys that again at the end of the show. But shout out to everybody watching us live. Let's go ahead and turn this over to my awesome and amazing, fantastic host here. Once again, the inaugural show here of 2023. What's up, Pong? How you feeling? 2023 has started, man. We are now in that year, that mythical year, man. How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Back at it. 2023 is finally here. Of course, last weekend was New Year's Eve when we did our final show. So what a way to come back on a Saturday night.
You did it on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Oh, how special.
Yes, it was fun. Or that just means we're not doing anything, dude. That means we're all stay at home, parents kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're old, so we just stay at home. No, we had a great show last weekend, but to be back here, brand new start, 2023, like you said, PTK, the avalanche begins this year, especially when it comes to Xbox, as we've all been waiting for. It was supposed to start last year, it didn't, but this is the year, and the excitement is already building. Which is fantastic. We got some great news this week in a couple different areas from Xbox. Had a good showing from Sony at CES. So we got a lot to talk about tonight as well. And of course, it is absolutely freaking fantastic to have Doom Cutie back on here. Love what she's doing. She's everywhere these days. By the way, love your rebrand, Doom. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I saw that. The logo.
Yeah, absolutely cool.
Awesome.
So cool.
So good to hear that feedback. I've been working on it for about 3 months now, and yeah, it's I wanted it to be more personable to myself, and it's sort of a rejig of the tattoo that I have on my wrist, and it represents my science teaching background, and yeah, it's really awesome.
Well, so it is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it is absolutely amazing, and it fits you, and you're doing big things. So great to have you here as first guest of 2023. So thank you for joining us tonight. And gaming wise, this week has been weird. Gaming wise for me, well, you guys know me. You can't put me in a box if you try when it comes to gaming. You don't know when I'm going to show up on a Saturday night and tell you I've been playing at all. So this week has been really odd. I'll keep it short. But I jumped into Watch Dogs 2 again out of all the games.
Oh, wow. That wasn't on the bingo card, Pong.
No, nobody. Like I said, you can't put me in a box, PTK. You're not going to nail me down. Yeah, I just happened to be flipping through all my games. And of course, I've been working late again. So it's like I only got a couple hours at night. So it's like, what do I want to jump into? And of course, Midnight Suns is sitting there. But I know if I hop back into Midnight Suns right now, it's going to be 5 hours later and I'm going to ruin my entire schedule. So I'm like, I can't do that. So what am I going to play? And I started going through, I actually put on the external hard drive because I saw nothing in the internal I wanted to play. And there was Watch Dogs 2 sitting there. And I'm like, I played like 15 hours on the PS4 day one when it came out. And I'm like, I never went back to it, but now it's got the FPS boost. Yeah, I know it's 900p, so it ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but I'm like, I'm feeling a little junk foodish, and Ubisoft is my junk food. So I'm like, let's go back to Watch Dogs 2. So I started ripping on that, having a great time. A little Spellforce 3 Reforced as well this week. I picked that up on sale over the holidays. That is an RTS CRPG hybrid game. That series has been out on PC for quite a while. It finally came to console last year. The number 3, Spellforce 3 did. I had my eyes on it since it dropped. It was on sale, like I said, over the holidays. Picked it up for like $15, $13 on Amazon. Loving this game. This is old school, but the writing and the story reminds me of classic BioWare Dragon Age. And so I'm having a great time with that. And then finally, another strange one, but free-to-play days are here, and they dropped in Saints Row. And you guys know how I feel about Saints Row. You guys know how I feel about what they've done to my Saints Row. And so I was not going to buy that game in any way, shape, or form, but it's free to play. So I'm like, you know what? I'll hop into it, see what the game plays like. Since I haven't had a chance to experience it, I'll skip all the cutscenes and not listen to all this Gen Z garbage that they're spewing, and I'm just gonna hop into the action. So I've been fooling around with Saints Row, and again, as I figured, it's a generic open world game to me. You could slap any name on it you want. It's not Saints Row to me. I don't care how many times you try to say it is. It's not. They downgraded a lot of the features, even though they tried to say that they did such a much bigger character creation and all that. BS. You guys downgraded all the systems, but it's still an open world game, sandbox, fun to play around in every once in a while. So that's what I did this week. Interesting week of gaming, especially when I got so many other games I could be playing right now. But that's what I did this week. But we got a lot to get into, so let's get down to business, PTK.
Awesome. Shout out to you, man. You know you're a grazer, so you playing a whole
through
lot.
And through.
I fully expect those type of numbers every single week you come here to the Shop Podcast, man. I expect 3 to 4 different games that you bring to the table at the very least, brother. Shout out to you for watching us, man, and appreciate you hanging out here with us, man. You're awesome, Pong. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. How you been, bro? What you been playing? What you been up to?
Oh, I'm doing great. Great to be here with you guys and with Doom Cutie. Welcome back, and always love what you do when you do streams, especially for Forza Horizon. That was awesome a few weeks back and stuff. But man, oh man, as far as what I've been playing, everything but I guess well it's been it's been Gran Turismo, it's been Forza Horizon 5, it's been I had my issues with the Division 2, which Ubisoft is like 2 weeks behind on responses, where I got stuck in New York City and had to join a random group and convince them to fast travel back to DC to get my one character back to DC.
Fuzzy Ubisoft doesn't care.
That's crazy. They don't care. That's crazy. You had to take an Uber back to DC. That's crazy.
Yeah, Ubisoft is kind of slipping a bit when it comes to some of the games that they should be using to make the money I guess they're chasing, and they're just ignoring this series to the point where it's bad. But outside of that, I guess partly because of that, I've been looking at like a lot of these early access PC, first person and third person shooters, been, diving into Ready or Not and getting my ass handed to me with some of these barricaded enemies and stuff. Cause I'm still used to controller. I'm going this keyboard and mouse route, kicking and screaming, and some of the key binds for things like the flashlight on the rifle or the laser sight. Yeah, it's just annoying.
Oh man, the change from keyboard and mouse, from controller, it's a massive learning curve. Like I've been trying to use mouse and keyboard a lot more, but like for specifically shooter games. But I tell you, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
I know all my PC friends say how amazing it is, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I don't know what button is what. I don't know where it is, and I have to use 2 hands. I don't like this.
I mean, the aiming precision is better with the mouse.
Yeah, aiming is good, but everything else. Which one's the inventory button, and how do I equip this gun? What button is that?
Yeah, I just want to check my ammo. I don't want to replace the magazine just yet. And it's like just getting used to all that stuff all over again. It's like I just want to have fun and shoot stuff. But Ready or Not's been a go-to for right now. Ground Branch has been another go-to where I'm on the at the compound trying to hunt down Osama bin Laden, I guess you could say. And then there's let's see, there's what the heck is that other game called? Harsh Doorstop, Operation Harsh Doorstop, which is like a free to play. It's just in demo phase right now. It looks like it's a guy that was like prior military that used to be a dev, but he's kind of doing his own thing now, and it has it where the community is it's open to the community to do like mods and things like that. So for early access and for something that's community driven, it's pretty decent compared to some of these $70 shooter games that's out there. So been having fun with that, especially with some of the mods for like the body camera and third person perspective and stuff like that. But other than that, just having fun on PC, but still playing on my console since I got my replacement Series X. And now I'm kind of worried about the PlayStation, considering the stuff that they had talked about early on, but now I guess it's becoming more of an issue. So fingers crossed my PS5 holds out for 3 to 5 years or whatever. But other than that, just glad to be here with you guys, and so many topics to get into. So let's do this.
Man, let's get into it, man. Shout out to everybody in chat, Mr. Joanna Dark, everybody hanging out with us. What's up, Sean Too, my out of the year, man. Appreciate everybody watching. So let's get into it, and we actually are going to start with the poll of the week. I know we've been kind of foregoing that, but this is the first show of 2023, so we got to start it the right way. So
I thought you finally gave up on this.
No, sir. The mutiny will not win.
You always share it with me, and I always participate. I love it.
Exactly, Doom.
Doom. You're ruining the crap I'm giving him. All right, I gotta give him crap about his poll of the week. It's necessary.
Oh, we're gonna have Doom here every week. She's gonna be here every week. She is now. I'm making that official. Live on there.
Now you're calling it a reserve just so you don't have another coup on your hands. That's
no.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Absolutely not. I was not influenced by anything. Not by the way you're acting at all. Like no. But no. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody who actually do participate in the poll of the week. Pong does too. He's just talking crazy, chat. You guys know Pong just talking crazy. But the poll of the week, actually almost 700 people actually voted on the poll. So thank you guys for participating once again. You want to be a part of that every single Monday on my Twitter. Follow me below. One will be live tomorrow. I will make sure of that for sure. But this poll of the week was awesome. So it was, which scenario would be the most surprising at the upcoming Xbox event? So I had 4 different scenarios. Fable trailer, avowed in 2023, which means like a release date. Essentially, Xbox Family Plan, and then Hellblade 2 release date. So Fable trailer won narrowly 37% to Avowed in 2023's 34%, Xbox Family Plan 7%, Hellblade 2 release date 22%. Now, Doom, did you vote on a poll? And if you did, which one did you vote? If not, if you had a different answer, that's fine as well.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out where I put it because I've actually voted in heaps of them. Fable trailer. Fable trailer. But that one only little bit.
Barely.
Yeah, so it was 37%. But yeah, I think that would be surprising just because of where they're at in regards to, they've just acquired essentially a whole new staff, and it's not ready. A trailer would not be ready. I don't even think a slice of the game would be ready. It would be nice, but I think it's probably the least likely out of all of those.
Okay. All right, that's fair, and I would tend to agree with that as well too, based on like you said, some of the hiring and considering where they're at. Another trailer would be extremely surprised. I don't. Yeah,
I personally, I don't think they'll even start really ramping up production until Motorsport's released. That's my prediction, because I think obviously they have separate teams working on it, but I think probably most of the resources and energy are going into that game, and I'm happy for that. So
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and we do have to consider the support for that game as well too, Forza. So we'll see, man. They've been working on this for a while now. I do believe in Playground, so we're gonna throw this over to you, Pong. Now I don't know if you voted, Pong.
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay, cool. See, awesome.
I participate in the nonsense. Even on the weeks you have absolutely terrible questions,
especially his own nonsense.
Doom, exactly. You see this mutiny? You see what I deal with every single week? This is ridiculous.
Not every week, because we haven't had poll of the week in a while now. So
it's been a couple weeks, so I've been spared. But go ahead, Pong.
Yeah, I got to agree with Doom Cutie here that Fable trailer would be the most surprising, and I'm surprised it was even this close. If people were actually thinking about this, Fable is so far out that there is no way that they would have a trailer now. It makes zero sense at this show to show Fable. It doesn't fall in line with any. If they were going to show a Fable trailer this year, they would have that at the showcase in June. I mean, E3 week.
E3.
They would never do it at a smaller show like this, out of the blue. And again, time frame wise, I mean, at the earliest, 2024. That's where I'm at the earliest. I'm looking at the holiday 2024. But I still think we're probably in 2025 before Fable is ready to rock and roll. So it just didn't make any sense. The other ones, sure, it would be surprising to see an avowed release date. I've been on the train thinking that they might be ready in this year, even with the move to UE5. I thought it's possible that Avowed's been ready. We've heard some smoke that Avowed has now been pushed to 2024, early 2024. That could be the spring launch. Hellblade 2 is now slotted in. So Hellblade 2 release date wouldn't surprise me. It still would surprise me because, again, why would you do it here? Why would you not be doing this for June?
Yeah,
exactly. And then in the family Game Pass, that's an announcement I could definitely see happening if they're ready to announce that. Again, I've said that I think that's also a showcase announcement, as weird as it would be.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense, Paul.
Kind of. Most of the time, the showcase is relegated to games, right? Games, and more games. So, but I think the Family Game Pass announcement's big enough where it could slot in there, and I don't think they're going to announce that this early. I think that that is a part of the process. Maybe the ABK deal has some influence on that as well right now, as they figure out whether or not they're going to have to hold the Game Pass, price point if they give a concession to the regulators that they're not going to raise Game Pass pricing for the next 3 to 5 years. That's a potential concession. They could be holding off on that Family Game Pass to see what happens there. So, but it wouldn't shock me. That one kind of fits the mold for this type of show. But definitely Fable trailer was by far, when I looked at these, like, that's not going to happen. That would be ridiculous. So
okay,
that's where I'm at.
No, that makes sense. Considering all of the variables, everything you and Doom brought up, that makes the most sense. I do believe Fable is probably the furthest out. If we're just looking at, what I put out here, Avowed would be really, 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 really left field too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm with you on Fable being the correct answer, but I do think it's a little closer than I do think the poll got it about right as far as where it would be, because I'm not even thinking. I started out with the Avowed being 2023, but I've kind of backed off that a little bit.
Sure.
With Avowed being 2023, so that would be extremely surprising to me if they said anything about Avowed. Although I do think Avowed's way closer than Fable, to be fair. So,
yes, 100%.
Yeah. For sure. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, and not Pong, but Fuzz. But chat, let us know.
Oh, you want me to go again? You like my answer so much, DK? Oh, thank you, sir.
We're not talking about Bethesda or Todd Howard, so you don't need to go twice.
We can do that shortly if you really want to.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. See, we didn't let the.
Oh my.
Yeah, we let the cat out the bag. We keep that on the back burner. We keep that for the end, Doom. If we talk anything Bethesda, we got to keep that on the outro. So. No, but shout out to you.
I'll
Pong.
get ready.
For sure. So chat, let us know as well. What do you guys think about the poll of the week? What would your answer be? Shout out to Steel Rain. I didn't even say hi. What's up, man? Brother of the podcast.
My brother coming
on
through. We had a nice 3.5 hour show this morning. Yeah.
We do
them long over at Xbox Infinite, so
Yes. Well, normally we go 4, but we had to cut the show short because I had the family coming over today, so we had to cut it a little short. Normally we're over 4, but yeah, we do. I like our long shows. So shout out to Steel.
Nice, awesome. So let's throw this over to you, Fuzz, man. So what option did you choose? Did you go with the majority here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say I'm on board with both Pong and Doom Cutie on this. As far as Fable just feels like I've always kind of felt it's 2025, and hearing some whispers from people that may or may not be involved. It has a lot of stuff already undergone, but it still seems like it's going to be a while before they can get to a polishing phase or testing phase or anything as far as that's concerned. So I think seeing a trailer for that would be, maybe a next year, bullet point type of thing. Avowed is another one where, after we heard some rumors about like Hellblade 2, I kind of feel that one's going to be pushed to like maybe early 2024-ish kind of range. I think if Hellblade 2 comes the later half of this year, then they'll just make room for Avowed a little bit later. And we may see, maybe a smaller instance from Obsidian if they do any additional releases for this year type of thing. I think they've been, putting out stuff on a regular basis. So they could probably sit this one or 2023 out for at least this go round. But the family plan, I was hoping that would have been announced before the holidays, but I think that's
I thought it would have been I thought that would have been announced during the holidays. So
because it would have probably helped sell, double the amount of, well, I won't say double the amount of Series S's, but at that point where you can have multiple people in the same household on different consoles accessing Game Pass and things like that beyond game share. I think that would have been a perfect thing to help with the holidays, but then again it may have cut into some of their overall sales or something like that for Game Pass in general. But I think that announcement's coming soon. It has to at this point, considering they've already started testing in certain regions. So it'd be a matter of possibly expanding to more regions or just go ahead and doing the full release after they see things. And kind of like what Pong was saying, that the ABK thing, which has been like this rain cloud over everything else, might be still kind of holding things up. But I would hope that the family plan gets announced here pretty soon, so it fits in line with what upcoming show potentially may have. And then when it comes to Hellblade 2, I think like right around the time he released the poll, it's almost like you put it into existence or something. I think we got some info on Hellblade possibly being a September-ish release or something along those lines. So I think that would be a nice holiday release. We got what we already know of coming out the first 6 months, and if Hellblade 2 is on the later 6 months, then I think that kind of makes sense. It's been one of the games that they've showed the most, between gameplay and whatnot, and more interviews from like the dev team as far as their motion capture and stuff like that. So those are within reason. But Avowed and Fable, but Fable being 2025 plus ish range possibly, I think that would be the unbelievable surprise, if anything.
Okay. Awesome. And I want to double back and ask you, Doom, another question. Now, Pong, you brought up a great point regarding the family plan, and we were just all talking about that, and Fuzz, you brought up a great point as well, but I want to double back here. Doom, do you think that type of announcement is appropriate for the showcase, or would you prefer that at like E3? Now, I mean, it may not matter ultimately, Doom. You're like, I just want the announcement anyway, right? Like, just give it to me. But which would you
look? E3 is about games, isn't it? I mean, it seems too small for E3. So definitely at the showcase for sure. Just because I think it's expected. this deal moving forward. So yeah, I wouldn't announce it at E3, but they may want to, really, really hype it up. And I know it's probably really special to them, and they want to, promote everyone gaming, from 5 years old to 505 years old or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, I don't mind, but I don't think it'll be announced at E3.
Okay, all right. So that Pong, you thought maybe it could slide in there, right? Possibly.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I think it's a big enough announcement to drive. It's kind of one of those, you mix it in there in the right spot with all the Game Pass sizzle reels and all the new third-party stuff coming in.
Like the back compat announcement?
Yeah, the back exactly. You slot that into an E3 showcase as you're showing off some of the games that are upcoming. Like we got, surprises this year, like Persona and all that kind of stuff for that second half of the year. And you slot that in there and say, and by the way, 5 of your friends, family members can sign up with you underneath yours for, $25 or whatever it's going to be per month. I think it's the perfect 1-2 punch to sell it and get the most eyes on it during E3. And, because again, it's just like the Game Awards during E3. You get a lot of people outside of the Xbox ecosystem that are watching these showcases and might not necessarily pay attention to another time when Xbox announces something. So I think that, between the Game Awards and E3, those are your two biggest presents, having the two biggest amount of people watching at any given time. So I think that that's where you do it. And then those people hear about it and they're wait, I never even heard that they were coming out with a family Game Pass. What do you mean I can have up to, 5 people underneath my name? Oh my God, let me get on the phone with 5 friends right now. Let's hop into this Game Pass thing. Because they just announced the ABK deal being done, let's say, right? And so everybody knows Call of Duty is eventually going to be in there. Diablo 4 is going to be in there. It's just a perfect selling time. That's why I think they might hold off until E3.
All right, cool. No, awesome.
You know what, Pong? I think you've changed my mind a little bit.
Oh, have I? Okay, I like that. I like that.
Oh man, you
I like it open
mind. Too easy. You can't. No, wait. You can't. No. Pong's gonna get too used to that, Doom.
No, you're right, PTK. Doom can come here all the time.
Oh, wait a minute. It's backfired, man.
No, you know what? I think it's great. Like I probably didn't think about it that way. People who are watching E3 that aren't on Game Pass. Yeah. Big brain.
See, look. Oh, Pong, you're not gonna be able to fit out of the door, brother. Jesus. Big old no, but shout out to you for real once again, man. Thank you so much. But that was the poll of the week, chat. Once again, that if you want to participate in that every single Monday, follow me on Twitter. All the information is down below. It's a great warm-up topic here at the Shop Podcast. Shout out to everybody live. I see Tom from Toonami, General Spartan, Ripper, Shonsu again, RSJ. Shout out to you all for hanging out with us, man. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. We're going to throw this over to you, Pong. What are you going to drop us into, man? What do you got for us this week?
Well, back at it again this week. And we got some cool news this week. So I am actually going to steal the Redfall news.
Ooh, please. Yeah. I was hoping.
Yeah, I got to steal the Redfall news
please
because this was kind of not for me personally, because I've been on board with Redfall since
day one.
Love Arcane, right? So, and I said all along, you can go back and watch any of the shows I'm on from the moment they announced Redfall. I said, this is going to be a bigger game than what people are giving it credit for, because right away people were like, oh, another Back for Blood, another Left 4 Dead. That's all this is. Oh, look at Microsoft forcing Arcane to make a multiplayer for Game Pass. Oh, that's so shocking. All this kind of nonsense came out right away. And I said, no, hold your horses. This is Arcane. They're not going to do a regular type game. Even if it looks like something else, Arcane's going to put their twist, their spin in there, and they're going to give us something unique. And I always was excited to see what they were going to do. But we got more information. We had a great interview this week with the Arcane devs. That shed some
good
more
stuff,
light.
Man. Good stuff.
Very good stuff. This came from Games Radar. I'm not going to read the article. I'll just give us the breakdown from Clobril on Twitter, who did a great job, as always, breaking down the nuance. And I'll add a couple things that I also read from the article as well. So Clobril broke it down like this. New Redfall info. Redfall offers an unfathomably larger open world space than Prey 1's Talos. We knew that they had shown off previously that they dropped the entire Prey space station into the world of Redfall, and it took up one farm. And so they were like, this is one farm field, and that's how big this game is going to be. And I'll add to that in a little bit here. Home base, where you can talk to NPCs and get side quests, story-driven missions, and free roam. Gunplay is crucial. They hired first-person shooter specialists and brought in id Software
Come on now,
to
man.
help consult.
Come on now, man.
You know it.
I see Doom over there shifting in her chair.
I mean, those are some flexes.
Oh,
Yep,
man.
they are. 2 distinct districts, which we had heard previously, a sprawling urban area and a rural designed area. We knew that from the past, but they reconfirmed that yet again. Many of the aspects of Redfall are not predefined activities, but part of the simulated space. Day and night changes the feel of the game radically. You know what pops in right away? Dying Light. Dying Light, the difference between daytime and Dying Light and nighttime is dramatic. So right away I was like, oh, they're going with that Dying Light effect. This is going to be good. Dynamic dialogue system of players talking to each other. We got a quote, if Redfall comes together at the quality level we think it will, then it will be a different beast. It's really tremendous. It does a lot of cool stuff. They also went on to say in the article as well, they reiterated that this is the game they've always wanted to make. Again, I had said in the beginning, we had people out here saying, oh, this is forced upon them. Yeah, this is Game Pass fodder, multiplayer game. Again, I'll reiterate. In previous interviews, Arcane said that they built this game from the ground up with the single-player experience in mind, because they wanted to make sure that anybody that does play their games in a single player fashion, which is what they're known for, would have a fantastic experience. Then they said, how do we expand upon that? And they added the co-op features to it. Not as a tack on, full-fledged. They designed it from the ground up as a single player, but they also made sure that the co-op experience was going to be top notch. So again, that is something that they reiterated here, and I thought it was great because, again, if this game comes out and does well, let's say it scores really well, and I'll remind everybody, Arcane games are always in the 80s. Okay,
That's
they
true.
average
Good
in
point.
the 80s. They're very good games, and I know some people dismiss 80 games for some reason nowadays. I have no idea why. 80s is great, but let's say this game scores mid 80s to high 80s. We're going to hear the people, the clown show out here talking about how it doesn't count, that they were already developing this game prior to Microsoft acquisition, that Microsoft doesn't get any credit for this. BS. Microsoft supported this team throughout COVID, throughout the pandemic, while they were all at home. They talked about that in this article too. The support they got from ZeniMax and from Xbox specifically helped them get this game done during the pandemic when everybody was having such problems. They said this is their pandemic game. So I thought that was really important as well. Microsoft's resources gave them extra time now to polish this game and make sure that this is the best Arcane game they've ever put out. They said in the article that when somebody plays this game, they want the people to understand that this was their entire vision and that this is the type of game that Arcane wants to make going forward as well. So again, we're going to see bits and pieces of stuff that we haven't seen from Arcane game before, because this is they're expanding what they normally do. They're trying to make a bigger world. They're trying to do different styles of games. And so I think that this is going to be a great indicator for the future of Arcane. And again, Arcane games have a significant fan base, but it's never hit the masses yet, right? They're a lot like, and Steele brought this up on Living Split Screen, I thought it was a great example. So it's a lot like From Software's Souls games. Forever, they had a really big fan base, but it was niche if you considered it compared to other things. But then they broke through with Elden Ring.
I like that comparison because they really do have their own style of game. Correct. They really, really do. Yes. Yeah,
absolutely. And so this could be that game that finally breaks through to the masses a little bit more than they're used to. And they put that in the article as well. They talked about how it was exciting to have Game Pass, to have a subscription service that they knew their game was going to drop into, but also how much anxiety it created, because they've never been at a point with any of their games that they'll have 25 to 30 million potential eyes on their game at one time. So they're expecting feedback from the community. Of course, they're going to take that feedback and, direct the game if they need to fix something or whatever. But they were talking about, this is exciting because we have the potential to have more players on one of our games than we ever have before from day one. But it's also nerve-wracking because we are going to have potentially more players playing our game on day one than ever before. And so I thought that was interesting as well, but I really think this could be the one. So Doom Cutie, we're going to start with you on this, of course, being the guest of honor. And when you hear, and maybe, I don't know if you read the full article or not, or if you just kind of saw the breakdowns of it. Most people, like Clobriel, did a great job doing that. But first of all, what was your initial excitement level for Redfall when they announced it and kind of leading through 2022 as we saw more of it? And did this interview specifically change any of that excitement, whether raise it, lower it, whatever the case may be? And what did you pick out of it to be kind of a couple of the biggest points for you personally that you were looking forward to with this game?
You know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you all.
Good.
I wasn't excited about Redfall.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I make no secret that I don't enjoy stealthy horror, zombie type games. I've tried some of them. I just find them extremely difficult to play. I'm not. I just can't. Maybe a co-op is a better option for me to get through that.
Yep.
But it's just me personally and my taste. So in regards to 2022, Redfall was not on my radar. It looks nice. It looks great. But outside of that, I couldn't really comment about anything in regards to, I can't critique this game because I don't have any experience really within the genre.
Sure.
However, Pong, you were so passionate just then. Can we just so brilliant. And Arcane, if you're listening, or if you do catch this by any chance, Pong Soul just did a fantastic job in convincing me that maybe I will have to try this game, especially because it's on Game Pass. The fact that you have, or in the article, the things that you expressed in the article, because hearing it from your perspective was really nice. Maybe I'm just more auditory. I don't know. Probably the best thing that I heard in that was the differences in day and night, and I know that's going to bring out some other kinds of enemies. It's going to be, the music's going to change and the vibe's going to change, and that's really exciting. And I think combine that with the play style and the co-op, I mean, it sounds like fun. Am I going to say that about a game that I didn't think I was going to play? My goodness.
Happens a lot these days. It's good.
Hey, you never know.
Look,
you never know.
And you're not alone either, Doom Cutie. You're not alone, because I saw a lot of people on Twitter after this interview come out and say the exact same thing. I wasn't interested for their own reasons, right? And then they said after this article and after the information came out, they said, now you've got my attention, Arcane.
They should. Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes the marketing for some of these games just really doesn't hit it. Like, they should have been saying this stuff last year, and then I would have been super duper excited for it.
Right. And I think that's been kind of the lead up to this, right? They're doing the different levels. As somebody who's followed this game, each showing, they've showed us a little bit more. Each interview, they've given us a little bit more information. It's kind of like that build up, but every time they've shown it, it has shown or sounded better in some way. So they've done a great job with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, my take, if you guys want to jump in with me,
we're all no, great, and I love that you're honest about it, because again, there's a lot of people in the same boat. Like, I don't do horror games, right? Everybody here knows that I'm a scaredy cat, right? I don't do them. So
I'm a scaredy cat too, Pong Soul.
Yeah. No. I am. I could do them when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I just don't do them anymore. I just really don't. Like Dead Space is like the max level I can go. Like I have zero interest in Callisto Protocol. I just none. Like Resident Evil 4 remake, I'm gonna try. Dead Space remake, I'm gonna try. But outside of that, you're not gonna get me to play horror games. So I appreciate the honesty, and because I think there's a lot of people like you. So
Umbra in the chat, thank you for showing up. Supporting a co-panelist. I know Umbra's a scaredy cat. He was scared playing Grounded.
The spiders.
Hey, I can't lie. The first time I went through Grounded, I was a bit scared too, running into them spiders, man.
Yeah, no, I don't get that scared.
Hey, I had the arachnophobia settings
Did you?
turned all the way up. And yeah. But anytime, and I will never forget. I will never forget this man just leaving Risket, Pete, and I to die to these spiders while he ran away and saved himself.
That's what you're supposed to do in a survival game. It's survival of the fittest at that point.
Hey, somebody had to stay alive to tell your story.
That's right.
Somebody had to stay alive.
I did an article with Game on Oz. It was like a collaboration. I love those ones where we all get to like put in like our own like game that we put into whatever the question is. So this one was like the best horror games or horror games to play in 2022, and mine was Grounded.
Nice. You know what? It's an opinion, and it's fine. It sticks, right? So you're good. I don't mind that one at all. I like it actually. Let's turn over to PTK.
Yes, sir.
And again, the only reason why I skip Fuzzy sometimes these weeks because I've heard his opinion, so we're gonna get to him because I'm on so many damn shows with Fuzzy, it's not even funny anymore. PTK, Redfall. I'll add a little bit here, more context as well. Within this article, they also went on to talk about some of the influences of Redfall. And again, most people, when they first saw this game, said, Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, the easy ones, right?
Yeah.
And they came out in this article and said, actually, the influences included Far Cry series, but specifically Far Cry 2. So we're talking about the older, smaller, older Far Cry, Stalker, right? Stalker, Borderlands, which we knew because it is. We knew it's got looter shooter in there as well. Yes, 100%. And then Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, tabletop.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where their influences come from here. And again, before I saw a lot of people running with the Far Cry stuff out the gate, right? Because everybody's like, "Oh God, now wait." Are we getting this huge open world with nothing but symbols everywhere?
The Ubi stank on it?
Right. They were very clear when they said Far Cry 2, which was not like that back then. Okay. It was not like that. And they also made clear that because people were like, how big is this world? And even though they said compared to Prey, it's huge, but they said compared to modern open world type games, this is going to be a quaint experience. So obviously indicating that it's not like Odyssey, right? It's not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
No.
We're not talking about these massive Far Cry 6 where you feel like you make zero progress in 3 hours, right? That's not what they're going for here. But that was interesting as well. So PTK, for you, same questions. I know we kind of talked about Redfall this entire time, but tell the people again how you've been feeling about Redfall since it was first announced, kind of through 2022, and then after seeing, reading this article or hearing the synopsis of this article and kind of the breakdown of where they're going with this game. Has that changed, raised, lowered, stayed the same? Where are you at with this, PTK?
So I think you mentioned it earlier, and it's been a gradual thing for me, right? And gradual, positive gradual. So not a bad thing. So every little bit we get to hear about the game, I get a little bit more excited. I was already on board from day one. Go back, check the receipts here at the Shop Podcast. Plenty of old videos. We talked about it. We went over it. I've been on board from day one. So to get to hear some of the things, now that they're revealing about the game. Now we've speculated about a lot of this, upon here, we've talked about this multiple times about what the game could be, what it should be. A lot of people, already ran with the whole looter shooter bit. Everybody was like, well, that's pretty generic. And, looter shooter, we have a bunch of those, but to hear what they've layered and weaved into this game, and to hear the actual influence, outside of Borderlands being so far from, just a traditional looter shooter, action shooter genre, is really, really cool. Because that means this game may be a lot more creative than I originally thought it was going to be. There may be some really, really cool things. And knowing Arcane, knowing the style of games that they make, that's really, really good to hear. This may be the one. Like you said. This is the one. They feel like it's the one. They feel like it's the one they've been sitting on and wanting to make. Shout out to Xbox for providing the additional resources to make the game, what it currently is. So I'm super excited. I mean, hearing some of this stuff is insane. I don't even think some of the stuff on this list, Pong, we've even talked about.
No.
Some of this stuff is completely new. Like the whole home base. I think we might have went over that. Maybe. I think maybe even
we did not know there was going to be an actual home base.
That's new.
That's new. Obviously the gunplay. It helping out. Come on now.
Yes.
It's in her name, Doom. I mean, come on now.
And what does that say, PTK? That Arcane looked at the gun right in their other games, in Dishonored, Prey, etc. Right, the gunplay wasn't the main part of the game, right? It was a portion of it, but they had a lot of other stuff going on. So having average gunplay, some people would say it was below average, depending on who you are as a person. Was okay. It still worked within the game sphere, but they understood making this game that was going to be a central part of this actual gameplay in Redfall. And they looked at themselves and said, hey, we're not the strongest in that category. Let's go bring in some id Software, some of the masters that we have in-house, some of our friends. Let's bring them in to consult, and let's go hire some first-person shooter specialists who have worked on some of the bigger first-person shooters out there to make sure that we shore up that weakness and make sure the gunplay is on point. It says a lot about that team too, as well, PTK.
Absolutely. And like you said, we don't know if this is the result of, those additional resources they've been provided, that additional time they've been given to work on the game. Maybe this was already in the plan. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe because of the additional time, this is something that they were able to do. But, all of this is crazy. Like, I'm super excited, man. The day and night cycles, I think they already alluded to that. They've already mentioned that multiple times, even in the trailers that we've gotten as well. So that wasn't a surprise. They've even showed it. The size, I mean, I figure it would be a fairly large game. I think it'll be surprisingly large. Now, once again, if they say quaint compared to stuff like, I mean, what are we comparing that to? Like you said, Odyssey?
I would say when they said modern open world games, the first ones I think of was like the Assassin's Creed, the Far Cry's, the Ubisoft formula type games. Yeah.
Dynamic dialogue, things like that. Those are the RPG elements they're weaving in on top of the looter shooter. And me, Pong. I'm always down for a looter shooter. Free to play, doesn't matter. Paid looter shooter. That's right up my alley. So they throw that in there. Give me the loot. Give me all the layers of story, the layers of characters, a home base, side quests. Man, you right up. I'm already on board. So on top of it being in Game Pass day one, day and date, that's just cherry on top. So you already know that I think that puts a button on it for me. I think this may be a game, like you said. I mean, the games always do well, but this may, finally get Arcane the recognition that I feel like they deserve.
Agreed, 100%. And again, the Game Pass can't be undersold here. That game is going to be available day one. It's going to be constantly in Game Pass. And just like Doom Cutie, people on the fence or people that aren't necessarily fans of the genre or fans of Arcane get to download it. If you're part of the Xbox ecosystem, you download it for free, no risk. Right? No risk whatsoever. You got some friends playing it. You hop into a co-op game. All the next thing you know, you're loving the game. Next thing you know, it's like, this. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this at all, but I'm loving this. And now you got new fans. And that's the big thing for Arcane.
And then you know what? Yep. Play that and they're like, what other games did they make? Correct. And they go back in the catalog and they play those games.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
It is.
And all thanks to Game Pass.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think it's great, PTK. Great points, PTK. So Fuzz, let's get your final thoughts on this, brother. I'm going to throw one more quote in here for you. Quote, "We want you creeping through a cornfield at night in the fog, hearing vampires whisper in the dark. Maybe you'll spot a farmhouse in the distance, only to find that it's full of cultists and a few trapped survivors who you can save. That's the kind of vibe that Redfall has. Fuzzy, hearing all this, sir, and I've heard your thoughts, but please reiterate for the audience, for people who have not heard your thoughts yet on one of the 10,000 shows you're now on. How have you felt about Redfall from the beginning up through 2022? This new information just dropping out of the blue, a Games Radar interview. This wasn't like one of the, we expect these type of interviews coming from IGN a lot of times. They have a lot of the behind the scenes stuff where all of a sudden there's a big info dump. This interview seemed to hit home for a lot of people. A lot of these points seem to be, again, I saw it on Twitter. I saw a ton of people in my timeline saying I was not interested in this game, or I was not even considering playing it right now, or I was on the fence. But this interview and these points specifically really sold the game for me. For you, Fuzzy, where have you been and where are you now? A couple of the points that hit home for you, sir.
Well, I think the big thing is I've always kind of been on board with this. It was early on mentioned that this was a looter shooter, so you know how I am for
100%.
Division.
You already know.
And
you already know.
Looter shooter Shinto right here, man.
You already know.
So they already had me sold at that point, but just hearing that one snippet as far as like going through the cornfields and stuff, that it's not the same experience, but it reminds me so much of what drew me in for the First Division. Like when you step foot in that dark zone and it was quiet and all you hear is gunshots way down the street, you might hear some arguing and stuff, and you're just trying to find this named boss that drops a weapon you want to extract, but then you hear other guys in the parking lot and it looks like they're having a shootout with an agent, and it's like that dynamic stuff that just randomly happens as you're going around. The fact that there's going to be like this farmhouse where you may have to save, some hostages from the cultists and things. Those events are what are really going to make this not just a replayable game, but like that. I don't know what they're going to do for endgame, but that's going to be the thing that still has me coming back to try different things. Like if I'm going to, burn down the barn to rescue the hostages, or draw out the cultists and then run in and save the hostages, or just have it where we create a distraction to get the cultists to come out type of thing. Whatever the case may be, there's going to be so many different approaches on how you interact with these random situations that you come across. Like your original mission may have been to get the hive house where all the vampires are either sleeping or I guess refueling on eating or drinking blood from whatever victims type of thing. But now this other event has your attention because it's closer, you can knock it out real quick, and it might actually help towards the next move you make for that mission. But yeah, I think what they had in this interview hopefully opened eyes for a lot of people that were like, oh, it's Left 4 Dead or it's Back 4 Blood. And I saw a lot of people that I was amazed that a lot of people still felt that way or thought that that's what this was when the dev team had mentioned before. No, that's not what this is. It's more of a looter shooter. And I think now people are going to probably give this a more of a chance, other than just it's in Game Pass, I can try it. Well, I think now they have a lot more people's attention as far as the atmosphere, the size of the map, the fact that even though it's not this expansive world, but it's dense. It like, especially for like the urban area or the more like city area versus rural. And then rural, you're probably going to have just random things you're going to be able to find, whether they be clues, whether they be loot or other crafting materials, things along those lines. So even though it's going to be farmland and things like that, there's still going to be a lot of stuff to explore and try out or visit, just to see if there's any special meaning or purpose to some of the landmarks and things like that. So yeah, I'm sold more so than before, but I was already this was like a day one anyway, and it just made it more of a day one. And the fact that they're going to do that early access, kind of like with Forza, with a couple of days early thing, I'm going to be there. So looking forward to it.
Awesome, Fuzz. Great thoughts, everybody, brothers and Doom Cutie. Appreciate the thoughts on this. I'll end it here with my final thoughts. One of the core mechanics, and you just touched on it, Fuzz, as well. One of the core mechanics of arcane games is being able to tackle objectives in multiple different ways. And they alluded to that in this interview as well, that's some of the replayability, being able to tackle depending on what maybe your co-op group looks like, because again, you can all have the same character or you can all have different characters, right? And they're all going to have separate abilities. So depending on what your group looks like, or if you're playing it single player, you're going to be able to decide how you want to tackle objectives in different manners. They're going to give you different paths to completing your goal, which is absolutely a key of Arcane games. It's what makes those games so interesting for people and why so many people have gone back and replayed Dishonored and Praise. So I think that keeping that there is mentioning that's going to be one of the functions that they have in Redfall is going to be huge for this game. And let me put it here. Let me end it here. My hype's already through the roof. I've been in on since day one. If Starfield comes out first, when I play this game is a different story. Of course, if Steele's playing it, if Fun Speculation Family's playing it, if PTK's playing it, will I hop in from time to time? Sure, but Starfield is going to be my life for a long time. So if this is May, and let's say Starfield does hit that March date, I don't know when I'm going to get around to sinking a lot of time. And then we got Diablo 4 coming June 6th, which is a whole nother beast in itself.
So Pong Soul's saying that he's going to binge this game the moment it comes out. It comes out before Starfield.
Yes.
He's going to spend 5 days in the game, smashed it out, and then never touched it again, and just
correct. Possible. But if the end game is there, which is a big question for a lot of people, if the end game is there, which we don't know, then there's reasons to go back. Because I do love looter shooters. I am addicted to looter shooters. I love them. So, that could be a potential. But the key here is that Arcane has been under the radar. The expectations for this game have been low outside of the fans, right? And outside of the fans who really like Arcane games, which means they don't have a high bar to get over. And if they do eclipse that bar, and let's say Starfield does come out earlier, because it does come out, hit that March point, that April point, and then you got Starfield on top of it. We talked about this on Xbox Ultimate last night. Think about the lineup that Microsoft is guaranteeing themselves for the first half of this year, assuming that they can get out Motorsport as well. Because if you come out with Starfield and it hits, and it's a 90 plus Metacritic, as most Bethesda titles are, it's that genre-defining game. It's the generational game we've talked about time and time again. They're going to have that hype. And then here comes a little game called Redfall from Arcane. Arcane, well respected within the industry. And all of a sudden, it's doing something different. It's got that addictiveness to it. People are talking about it. People are playing it. Metacritic for the masses. Again, for most of us enthusiasts, we can care less. But for the masses that read the IGNs and let the IGNs of the world tell them what to play. Let's say this game gets that mid 80s, kind of score, and they're really loving the game, and it reaches that masses a little bit more than most Arcane games ever have. You're talking about 2 hits already out the gate, and then, as I said last night, you got Forza on the horizon, which is a guaranteed home run. It's a guaranteed home run. Sure, you can say it's just another racing game. It's another, whatever. It doesn't have a huge audience. It doesn't matter. It's going to come out and score in the 90s.
When's the last Forza not to do a 90? Has any of them ever not done a 90?
I don't know. You have to ask Fuzzy on that one. Fuzzy has Forza ever not
Forza
done?
Street on mobile.
Oh, Forza Street on mobile. Okay, all right. So you're talking about 3 home runs out the gate to start 2023 from your first party that was a no-show last year that plenty of us criticized for in this community. That erases 2022. That memory is gone. You've got 3 home runs, and then the potential for slipping in a Hellblade 2 or an Avowed at the end of the year on top of it. You're talking about erasing all the stigmas that Xbox has had in 1 year if they pull this off. And again, it's still a big if. There's still a lot between here and there. But man, have they set themselves up for prime time in 2023. That Avalanche starts this year. It's going to be spectacular to watch, and I can't wait to see how Arcane's Redfall comes out this year.
Yeah, all of you non-believers out there, present your knees to Daddy Phil Spencer. He'll be waiting.
Shout out to you, Pong. But man, great topic. Shout out to everybody watching too. Fastback, Psycho, Luis Jose, everybody hanging out with us. Tony Grasso. Shout out to the chat, man. You guys are amazing.
And I gotta say too, Redfall, I say this real quick. Redfall with the character, because one thing that anybody said after watching the Redfall trailer is the characters are all interesting. If those characters are lovable and likable and the fanfic starts up, in our world now of transmedia, of looking to the future of what, Microsoft can start doing, much like Sony's doing with their IP, Redfall is perfectly set up, not only for additional content and all that good stuff, but to cross over. And I could see a Redfall TV series, a Netflix deal, an animation, something to carry on the stories of Redfall, because it's not a zombie game. It's a vampire game. We don't have a lot of those. It hasn't been played out yet. So they are set up to use this IP. This will be a brand new IP, another one right after Starfield that they can use in that manner as well. Big things for the future if they hit this one.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so shout out to them. Shout out to them, man. I'm a huge Arcane fan, and all the Arcane fans out there, please support this game. And the more and more I hear about it, man, the more and more I get excited. Everybody here at the Shop Podcast has been on the Redfall bandwagon from day one. We got the receipts, I promise you. So you can go back and check, I promise you. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get into our next topic here, man.
This one's going to be a bit messy, as many of the topics I bring up lately have been.
I love it, Fuzzy. I love that I can stay away from the messiness and you can just come in, man. I love this. Whoa.
Well, for me,
am I going to be okay?
No, you should be fine. Like a lot of the stuff is usually like, okay, I broke something or something broke that I own, as far as whether it be my Xbox or my PlayStation, and I'm going to vent about it a little bit. But when it comes to most recently, had an issue with my Xbox. It's at the 2-year mark. It's past warranty. It was only shutting down on a couple of games, but it was like the 2 games I was mainly playing at that given time. The new Xbox, no problems, knock on wood, and that one's been fine. Now we just have a secondary Xbox to it, which will probably be my wife's streaming box here soon to replace her PS4. But PlayStation, on the other hand, as many of you know, a lot of people put those things vertical. And we talked about some of the issues possibly overheating with this thing having a boost mode. And, early on, we remember seeing a lot of people showing videos of artifacting and stuff like that on screen, where it almost seemed like they were cooking or frying that chip and it was having graphical, issues on screen because of it. And then there was a couple of occasions where the consoles were bricking because, you put it in sleep mode and you had that external drive because they hadn't, released the SSD software update yet at that point. So sometimes it would crash and you couldn't cut it back on. And it's like, oh, my console's brick. What do I do? You just get a new one type of thing. So it's been weird, especially considering how many times people were like, oh, the Series X overheats, and people were blowing their vapes into it and whatnot. But more recently, momentum is building as far as this whole liquid metal thing on the PS5 chip, or the APU, since it's a mix of GPU, CPU type of deal. But there was talks early on that liquid metal may not be the best thing. Like it's used in computers or PCs, for gaming rigs with water cooling and things along those lines, where things are kept at a certain level or pretty much clamped down to a point where there is no room for movement. But when it comes to the PS5, their liquid metal has kind of like this barrier around it. So by them putting a barrier, which you don't typically find other than like what's on like the baseline for the motherboard for the chip itself on a PC, they kind of knew something may, leak out at certain points or something. So PlayStation, I guess, kind of did a preventative maintenance, but a lot of people were more, concerned or paying attention to when they were doing revisions on the whole copper radiator and the reduction in copper, or the shrinking in the size of the radiator, or the cooling system that they used. But now we're finding, I guess, a few people that do repairs on them, a couple of people on the internet, and it always starts this way. A couple of people on the internet, oh, my PlayStation 5 is melting. But it's like they show where you can clearly see the liquid metal has, I guess, heated up, moved a bit, and then, re-solidified. And it's on the chipset where it's doing damage. And it doesn't seem like any of the major news places are picking up. IGN India was about the only major one that we saw. And I can kind of understand IGN as a whole not really pushing the matter since they get a lot of their review codes and advertising for PlayStation. But outside of that, I guess the big question now is if you had the option to keep your PlayStation 5, if you have a PlayStation 5 at this time, would you keep it vertical with these rumblings of it possibly being detrimental to the chipset? Or would you go and just put it horizontally so that way you can potentially, hopefully, avoid any issues which may come from gravity and heat and whatnot with the liquid metal? So I'll start with you, Doom Cutie, as far as one, do you have a PS5 at this time? And two, if so, what orientation do you have it, vertical or horizontal?
I do have a PS5. I was late to obtaining it, and it's actually quite funny. The marketing behind Hogwarts Legacy is the reason why I purchased a PS5.
Mm-hmm.
I was convinced that this game was only releasing on PS5, so I was
wow.
I know, I know. But I played God of War. I call it my God of War machine. It's not a PS5. And I've been given. I have played other games on PS5. It's fine. The party chat is dismal compared to Xbox. We all know that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the reason why I was talking about a little bit about my history with the PS5 is because I rarely turn the thing on. So there's no chance for there to be overheating if it's not on. So I do have mine in a vertical position.
Awesome.
I did do a poll on Twitter. I've got almost 200 votes. Only 7% of people are saying that they're changing the orientation. And then 44% don't actually own a PS5. So yeah, it's probably like there's a comment on here as well. Do you mind if I share it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where is it? Here. My PS5 was already horizontal, but if I had it vertical and felt that it looked better that way, I would not have changed it. If this truly was a serious problem, there would be a lot of PS5s failing right around now, and that is not the case. This is being overblown. So I don't think people are actually that concerned about it. But if you want to turn it, better to be safe than sorry, especially for something that nearly cost, I think mine was 950 Australian dollars. So very expensive machine.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to make sure that they are okay. And I mentioned this on 2 podcasts now, so this will be the 3rd time that I've said it, but we don't know the conditions around which these are being stored. Like if you're like, a couple of people put pictures of how they've actually stored theirs vertically, and there's not a lot of air ventilation around it. So, potentially they're setting these machines up to fail because they're not in the correct environment. And, there's probably some fine print somewhere inside the PS5 box that says, please make sure that you have proper ventilation as, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure, just to cover their butts. But because of that, I don't think anyone's going to really have any legs to stand on if their machine does have this happen to it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I admire about, like, for Australia and a lot of other countries outside the US is their customer protection agreements that they have with a lot of manufacturers. So there are certain things that they offer beyond what the manufacturer does. And I know there have been times where PlayStation has gotten into trouble in your region as far as for customer returns or refunds for games and things like that.
We have consumer protection laws that ensure that when we purchase something, we are guaranteed. We are protected, those vital components, or if we're not at fault because of a product that hasn't performed, especially if a large amount of people say that this is happening, I can imagine that particularly the Australian government would file a class action lawsuit against Sony.
Yeah.
If that was the case.
Yeah, I think with the revisions, we'll find out possibly in like 2 to 3 years if there's any substance to this as far as like a potential the PlayStation's Red Ring of Death equivalent. But
yeah, definitely.
I think it's one of those like rare cases, but it always starts with a few cases and then it snowballs if anything comes of it from there. But I'll go to you, Pong, next, because I know you had a PS5 earlier on, but I know at one point you parted with it. Were you able to pick up another one at this time, or when you had the one earlier on, did you have it in vertical or horizontal?
Never got out of the box, brother. I sold it right out the gate. Because I had decided I got it on launch. I had both. I had the
Okay.
series and the PS5 digital version. And again, at that time, that was pandemic time. Pandemic
Watch this guy make a
crushed.
profit.
Yeah, it crushed our family finances, so I couldn't
Yeah.
justify keeping it. There was no way I could justify it, so I sold it. And yeah, I did turn a profit. For sure. I wasn't the crazy scalping that was going on, but I certainly made some
Oh,
money
they were
off of it.
nuts.
Yeah, they were nuts. But again, I can answer your question because again, I went through the Red Ring of Death. Obviously, I'm an old guy. I've been through every failing possible in consoles. So I went through the Red Ring of Death, and I was the guy that when the Red Ring of Death became a thing before Microsoft admitted that it was something, when they were still denying it, I was the guy who went and bought one of those external fans that people started selling and had that on my 360. It wound up still red ringing multiple times, but I did go buy the fans. So if I had my PS5, I can guarantee you I would find the room to put it in a horizontal position. I would not take the chance of that happening to the PS5. And again, I think this is a long-term problem that we're not going to see. If it does, if this is not just, a one PlayStation 5 has this problem here and there versus, if this gets above 10% rate, then I'll start expecting to see it more. But this could potentially be something we don't see for 3 years. Might be something we see for 5 years.
Yeah.
But the fact is this is something you're going to have to consider down the road if you're going to purchase a used PS5. And the masses aren't going to know about this unless this becomes a big problem. Unless there's some type of big lawsuit, a class action that happens against Sony for this. We're never going to, the masses are never going to hear about it. So people are going to be buying used PS5s, never knowing if it was stood up or laid down without opening it up and seeing if there's potential issues. So yeah, this is going to be something that Sony might be dealing with down the road. Right now, I don't think it's a big enough, nobody's going to say boo about this. Like you said, Fuzzy, no, none of the major publications are really picking up on it because it just hasn't been out there. We're kind of we're kind of the canary in the coal mine here in this small community. When something starts happening like we did when we first saw that run of PS5s, you're going to start hearing about it. I have not heard this yet. There hasn't been a run on PS5s, dying off or anything like that I've seen. So again, long term, we'll have to wait and see on this. But yes, if I had a PS5, I would definitely not be taking chances. That's for damn sure. No.
Understandable. Definitely understandable. PTK, I don't know. Have you picked up a PS5 or
no? I don't have one yet. I don't have one yet.
Now, if you did, given the few I guess postings that we have now as far as the issue with the liquid metal, would you take the chance and have it positioned vertically, or would you from right out the gate do horizontal?
I think initially vertical initially, right? Like before, any of this information, any of this new news that we just got I'd probably stand it up. And honestly, I think I'm with Pong as well as Doom on this one. I don't think it's a big enough issue as of yet. Now, like you said, long term, we got to wait and see. You never know how this hardware performs 3, 4, 5 years down the road. I'm sure they have projections and they've ran tests 1 trillion times and simulations 1 trillion times, and they got the data for that stuff. But I don't think we'll hear anything about it. So as of right now, I don't think it's a big enough issue. But given a choice, it would probably be vertical. I think it just looks better that way.
Yeah.
Would I consider changing it after this news came out? Maybe. I'm a bit stubborn though. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of a rebel. Like, you know what I mean? So I might just take the chance to roll the dice and say, forget it, right? Like, just leave it as is. As long as it has enough airflow, has enough space around it, I think it should be fine, right? Like, most people have had theirs on quite a bit of time at this point in time, right? I would assume,
Yeah.
PS5 owners out there, let us know in chat. Anybody with PS5s, have you guys had this issue? Any similar issues? Let us know in chat if you guys
I will
have.
say that fan is loud as hell. Like
Okay,
the thing sounds like it's gonna take off. I don't know why. It just gets so hot in there. It's crazy. So it's not, honestly, it's no surprise to me that perhaps, if because this patent, the liquid metal is a new patent for Sony. So it doesn't surprise me that something that's new would have some longevity issues, especially when it sounds like it's going to take off like every time I'm playing a game.
Yeah. No. So ultimately, I just think that and great point as well too, Doom, that you brought up there. But yeah, I ultimately think we'll have to wait and see. Is it going to be a long-term issue? Is this going to be kind of a series of unfortunate events for Sony? Who knows? I don't think it will be. I mean, I know for sure they hope it. Something like this doesn't happen. So they hope it doesn't pick up steam. So we'll see though. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But like I said, PS5 owners, let us know. I mean, I hope as well there's some level of like accountability here for the owner as well. We can't just skip over that, because I hope people are cleaning their devices and making sure their PS5s are cleaned out and blown out and all that good stuff. So there's a little bit of accountability on our part as gamers. We can't just say the damn machine blew up on its own. So sometimes we don't always have that excuse. But
this is your reminder: clean your keyboards, clean your fans.
Yeah, there you go.
Clean your controllers right now. If you haven't done it, I made KY Bob. He was there. He was cleaning his controller. So
exactly. See, do what Doom says. That's simple.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. That's it.
Look after your stuff. We invest so much money in this stuff. Look after it.
Yeah,
exactly. Go ahead, Bob.
No, but for me, being a PS5 owner, I've had it now for a little over 2.5 years. Like it was, I guess Black Friday when they were first coming out. I camped out at GameStop and everything, and it's been vertical the entire time, and it's been on for quite a bit because I'm pretty sure some people have seen. I've put 2,000 hours plus in 2022 in Gran Turismo 7, and I did play a good bit of Deathloop. I played a good bit of Ratchet and Clank and quite a few other games on my PS5. Now, so far, knock on wood, it's been pretty much problem free. Like I experienced the bricking a couple of times, but my technical somewhat know-how on some electronics having that type of issue, quickly unplugged it from the wall and took the plug out of the PlayStation, let it sit for like a minute, plug it back in, everything was back to normal. It was during that whole don't put your PlayStation on sleep mode while you have an external drive, which is like the dumbest thing ever. It's like, well, then don't have it where it can take a external drive if that's going to be a problem, or fix the software so it's not an issue. But it took them a while before they even did the patch for the internal drive or the SSD. But other than that, haven't had any problems. But me also knowing people in the retail business or electronic business, while I was having that bricking issue, or a couple of times, I would always check by with people I knew over at Best Buy, and it was like that first holiday or like January after that first holiday in 2020. They had like 200 of them sitting in the back that were waiting for RMAs or something along those lines. Now, some of those could have been like, oh, the guy opened it, turned it on, the screen didn't work because they didn't hook it up right. They put it back in the box. Oh, it doesn't work. No one checked it over at the what do you call them? Their Geek Squad or whatever. It's just wrapped up as defective, but nobody checked it. And then the following year, because it was still, they didn't do that patch for the sleep while external drive, I checked back with the same people there, and they're like, yeah, we got like 600 of them sitting here this holiday. Now, for a store, that may seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, so many electronics. Like if I tell you there's 600 PS5 sitting in the back of a Best Buy that's in a high traffic, metro area, you could probably take a guess at how many Nintendo Switches are sitting back there, which would probably be double the amount at that point. So that's to kind of put things in perspective to some extent. But I'm hoping we don't find out, 2 years, 3 years down the road that this is like PlayStation's red ring of death. Because at that point, with them, hey, they got 30 million consoles sold and they've done 3 revisions on this console. And if those revisions were to kind of stave off some of the potential problems, great for the newer ones, but for the initial probably 15 to 20 some million that they sold, yeah, that could be the $1 billion bullet that bites Sony worse than it did Xbox for during the 360 era. But for anybody out there, I recommend doing horizontal. I'm like Blam, I'm stubborn. I'm keeping mine vertical for now because if it breaks, then yeah, I'm not going to be the loudest
I
voice
don't
out there
blame you, brother.
complaining. But
I don't blame you, brother.
But I'll probably replace it
Mm.
or force them to replace it in one way, shape, or form. But we'll worry about that when we cross.
Listen
that
to
bridge.
Fuzzy and do it horizontal.
But yeah, that's all I got. It was it was the only thing that really kind of stuck out to me that wasn't already discussed or news that is more stuff that will probably be prevalent next week. Like I know that showcase stuff is hopefully an announcement right around the corner.
We're definitely going to speculation town. We got plenty of time tonight. For sure. So shout out to you, man. Great topics. Shout out to everybody in chat too. It's been a little while since we spoke to you guys. Shout out Talos, Ray, Lore Master, Ripper, Splendiferous, everybody hanging out with us, man. Hope you all are having a phenomenal time. Shout out to Gabe as well. Cali Kid, my guy, hanging out with us as well, man. We're going to get into some more stuff too. Drop your questions right now down in chat if you have questions for Doom Cutie or just for the general panel here at the Shop Podcast. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. If we missed anything, let us know what's going on. But I want to get into something else too that I've been thinking about as well too, and I know Pong is going to love this. I want to talk about that Starfield release date a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I want to talk about that a little bit. Doom Cutie, I don't know how invested you are in Starfield, how much you're looking forward to that. We'll get into that. I don't want you to spill the beans just yet, but I want to talk about the potential release date, right? There's been some stuff out there, right? There's been some people reading some tea leaves, got some Rubik's Cubes, all type of crazy stuff. People trying to figure out what's going on, where the release date is at, when is it? Some people doing a 2/23/23 or 3/23/23. So I want to get the panel's general idea on when is this game dropping, before Redfall, after Redfall. So we're gonna start with you, Doom Cutie. Where are you at? 1, are you looking forward to Starfield? 2, when do you think it's coming out?
We talked about this yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
And
okay.
Yes, we did. Much banter, as you can imagine.
Yeah, don't listen to the panelists over there, Doom.
The fact is, all of the promotions at the moment are saying the first half of this year. Now, there was debate on what first half means and is that before E3, after E3? Will it be shadow dropped at E3? So many conversations around that. But for me, you want me to predict a date?
Yeah,
give us a date.
Give us a date.
22nd of June.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
It's going to be before the end of June, and I think myself and Risket were saying before, and then Pete and Umbra were sort of like, nah, it's going to be after. So yeah, we will see. I know lots of people are hoping for a shadow drop at E3, but I highly doubt they're going to do that. Do you guys think they'll do that?
No, because it's coming out way before.
No, it's coming out before that. Yeah,
it's coming.
I think it's coming out before that.
Yeah,
so we'll get into that.
But are you excited for Starfield? You didn't answer
I am.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I am. I know I'm not going to be able to have the time because of life commitments to really delve into that game. That game is going to be my iceberg of the year, the iceberg game of the year for me.
Don't worry, you got like 10 years. It's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Just like Skyrim.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Wait. Pete in the chat. Okay. No, it's going to be massive. I think the game's very ambitious. I think it's their baby. I think it's going to be very good, and I am excited for it. In regards to this year, it's 3 games that I'm excited for: Forza, Hogwarts, Starfield. So
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, you're Pong's best friend now, just so you know. Just
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's
well,
good.
maybe he can show me. He
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
I don't know how the game's going to be, but yeah, it'll be good to have someone who's really knowledgeable in the
It's gonna be
game.
fun. It's gonna be fun. No, that's the best part. It's different for everybody, right? Again, that's the best part about Bethesda games. Everybody plays differently, and everybody experiences something different. No two people have the same experience within a Bethesda game, unless you're
Yeah,
just
definitely.
one of those people that mainlines the narrative, and that's all you care about, and never see anything outside of the narrative, which to me is foreign. It's an alien thought to me in a Bethesda title. But unless you're one of those, and there's a lot of people like that. So those people will have the same type of experience. But if you actually truly enjoy Bethesda games and you go explore, no two people will have the same experience ever. The
Yeah, that's a
randomness that
beautiful
are in
thing.
Bethesda games. It is. It's absolutely incredible. That's what makes their games last for so long. It's so much fun. So if you can't tell, I'm hyped.
just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You want me to jump in here, PTK?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So date wise, I don't have to go in my hype levels. Everybody already knows. God Howard is my favorite developer. Him and his A team are everything to me, so we already know all that. Date wise, I have settled in. Steele was right. Shout out to my brother Steele. He's been on this date since it first got delayed. 3/23/23 is the date. Yeah, it is absolutely going to happen. At most, it pushes to April. At the latest, it's April. They moved Redfall out of the way for a reason. Redfall didn't need more polish. Redfall didn't need another 6 weeks. And if that comes to be a true thing, and we've heard from multiple people with connected sources, including Jez, of course, of Windows Central, that the Redfall internal delay is real. Redfall was polished last year when we saw it. Whatever reason they moved it. We heard that it was early spring, but that was probably preliminary, waiting on Starfield to hit the marks that it needed to hit to be ready. And we've heard from other people in the know that it has hit those marks. We now have word that the final build is in people's hands and are currently playing it. Starfield is ready. And this is going to be how you want. This is why I went into it when I was talking about Redfall. This is the way that Xbox dreamt of kicking off 2023. Once they made a decision to delay, they knew that 2022 was not going to be good first party wise at all, obviously. If you're going to start saying this is not just this is not just a normal big game.
So passionate. Can't even.
Yeah. No, it's
flustered over there.
It's big time, because you got to understand we don't get Bethesda games from the A team and from Todd very often. So people forget how big these games actually are. Like, there's plenty of people who can look at Skyrim and say, yeah, it's sold over 40 million copies at this point. People are still playing it to this day, but people don't grasp the concept of what a Bethesda release actually is. So we're about to get one. And not only are we just getting a Bethesda release, we're getting a brand new IP. And I thought about this too. This popped in my head today, actually, on Living Split Screen while Steele and I were talking about this. This is actually Todd's. If you go back and look at it, this is Todd's first new IP ever. If you want to think about it, he inherited Fallout from In Exile when they purchased it. Now, granted, they changed the entire game. They made it a whole new genre from what it was originally at In Exile. So again, you could say that, hey, it's technically a new IP, sure, but he inherited all the lore, right? Same thing with Elder Scrolls. When Todd started at Bethesda, they already had Daggerfall. Todd came in very late. He helped out a little bit. If you go back and listen to his interview with Lex Friedman, he helped out a little bit at the end with Daggerfall. But he inherited Elder Scrolls. And of course, you can say, well, Todd took it to the next level, starting with Morrowind. Yeah, absolutely he did. But this is his baby. This is his baby from 25 plus years ago that he's been dreaming about doing. This is not a normal just big game release. This kicks off a brand new generation for Xbox. This is the game that says Xbox is here. We now talked about this on Xbox Ultimate, talked about it on Living Split Screen. and Mav and I talked about on PM to PM on Thursday. And I think Mav is onto something here. And I heard Boxenberger talk about this on Xbox Factor as well when I was on this week. This is the biggest launch for Xbox probably since Halo 3. And Mav said even since Halo Evolved. This Starfield game changes Xbox's destiny in a lot of ways if it hits the way that we all think it's going to. And again, the early word, the secondhand talk, all of that we got this week, that this is bigger and better than most people that are currently playing it expected it to be, which means Todd and his team have hit it. Again, they are genre defining, generational type games. This is a game that people are still going to be talking about when we get PS6, if we get PS6, or we get Xbox Series XX, whatever we're going to get. This is going to be a game that people are still playing and that they're still talking about. This is a new IP for Xbox, and they own this IP now. This is something special. So I think this is the way now to get back to the original question. Again, sorry, I get wrapped up in this when I start talking Bethesda. If Xbox found out, if Todd came to Phil and said, we're ready, we got it, we're polished as we're going to get, we can hit an earlier date. They moved Redfall internally 6 weeks to give Redfall breathing room to get it out of the way. You start your 2023 after an absolutely abysmal first party 2022 with your biggest game in decades. And here it is, Starfield, 3/23/23 for a couple different reasons. And I'll bring those reasons in now. There was, in the original trailer, people who pay attention and break it down. I'm a huge Bethesda fan, obviously, but I don't break down their trailers frame by frame. I'm not into it like that. I let other people do that and watch their videos. There was, within one of the trailers, the date 3/23 in the trailer. And why that's big is because 3/23 is the original date. 3/23, 1903 is the date that the Wright brothers filed for the first flying machine patent. This is the date that NASA uses for a ton of their launches, for their news drops. If you go Google NASA 3/23, you'll see date after date. This is highly, highly important date. So Todd loves his dates. And not only numerically is it a great date, 3/2, we do an American version. I know everybody else does it differently.
Yeah, what's that? I didn't know. We don't have 23 months over here.
Right. So 3/23. So 3/2, 3/2/3 is perfect numerically for Todd, and he likes his crazy dates. But it's got that added additional bonus as being such an important day for flying in human history and for NASA, for space. 3/23/23 is the perfect date. It falls on a Thursday. It's right in line with normal launches, all of that. And I think that they are going to hit that. And then let me throw in a big tinfoil because we're in speculation town. I'm one of the mayors. I got the key. So let's go. We're going to tinfoil. We're going down this rabbit hole. In Exile yesterday. For people who don't pay attention, In Exile on Twitter, go follow them. Go follow them, please, because they got one of the best social media teams out there. If you have been paying attention to In Exile, you know that they've started doing these little creative, fun sketches for games that are soon releasing. They haven't done any sketches for a far out game. They've done it for like High on Life, right? They did a great one for High on Life. So they started doing these sketches. Well, yesterday on Twitter, they went ahead and posted a picture of an astronaut helmet and a backpack with the Starfield symbol photoshopped on it and said, new vid props. Then right after they posted that, they posted another tweet and said, Todd calling Phil right now saying, quote, please stop them. And then people started running with it, right? People started running with it because we know that they've been doing these videos for upcoming games, shortly upcoming games. And then underneath, so they came back again and said, and I quote, this is their tweet, to be clear, we have no insight into their development or release schedule, but we do have the vigorous duty to make weird videos about it. Okay, that was a whole lot of words just to simply say we have no idea what their schedule, we have no idea what the release date, we're just having fun, right? They added a whole lot of extra language in there, right? Well, I just looked at that and said, okay, well, I figured they were going to come out and say something like that, but I'm like, it's a little dramatic how they said it. Well, shout out to Xbox Gamer D, somebody who follows me. Somebody I don't see him in YouTube, so I don't know if he's got an alternate YouTube name. I don't know if he's in our chats. I don't know if you are out there, brother. Hey, hats off to you, because he saw my retweet of these, and he actually took the time to figure this out. And now everybody pay attention, okay? He figured this out. So he posts a tweet underneath this going, "To be clear," in quotes, right? Because that's how In Exile said it. "To be clear" is 3 words. And then there's colons. Remember, there's colons there. The rest make up 23 words. And if you count out the rest of what they wrote, it certainly is 23 words. 323. Thanks for the reveal. Okay.
Yes, this much time.
Yes.
I saw that.
Now you could say, even if In Exile does know the release date, are they ballsy enough to do something like this, knowing that the internet, with as many people as on the internet, figure out things like this? Like, there are people that take time to do this, right? Like, I didn't take the time, but somebody else did.
Mm-hmm.
Are they ballsy enough to put this out there, knowing that
does it matter? Does it matter though?
Does it
really
matter?
Correct. This game is so important that it doesn't even matter if the community already knows up until Bethesda officially reveals it themselves.
Right, because there's always going to be questions. Everybody's going to say it's tinfoil, it's conspiracy. But let me tell you something. The way that they worded that tweet is crazy. Could it just be coincidence? Of course it could just be coincidence. Could they be having trolling fun, knowing full well that somebody will figure that out, because the 323 date has been guessed in the community, that they were just trolling us? In Exile's social team is amazing. They're one of the best out there. But or were they just were they having fun and they know it and they put it out there, and it was like, who cares if somebody figures it out? Nobody's going to believe them because it's too crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go, and I'm sticking on this, and we're going to know shortly. And then I'll add this too as well. Jez and Rand, shout out to Xbox 2, one of my favorite podcasts. Love both of those dudes over there. Jez also put it out a tweet, and we heard Colt Eastwood, of course, on XNC with Gaz, talking about Starfield for like an hour, and he's the first one to come out and say that he's heard that maybe some people do have the final build and it's a lot bigger and better than what expected. He was the first one to say it. Jez came out, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and said, hearing things about the things I'm hearing about Starfield are lovely. Now, on Xbox 2, he refused to go into detail. Multiple people asked him. Rand asked him if he wanted to expand upon that thought, and he said, nope, I'm not going to do it. But he added, but you won't have to wait long to see why I said that, which means it's going to be a part of the showcase, number one. And if they're going to do these showcases like Nintendo Directs or State of Plays, and they're going to spotlight the next game coming out, that means it's time for the Starfield blowout with the release date, which we've guessed on. Starfield is coming 3/23/23.
You got me feeling all kinds of ways. Oh my God.
I saw you go through like 6 different emotions over there, sitting there.
I was like excited, and I was like, and then because there were so many unnecessary words in there, they didn't have to say that many.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I am a shooker. Oh my God.
I love it. I presented my case well, so that's where I'm at.
We got to get you in on this one, Fuzz. We got to get because we've been talking about this, Fuzz. We've been talking about this for a couple years now.
Oh yeah.
And Pong presented an amazing O.J. Simpson-like case regarding Starfield.
If the date fits, it must quit.
I love that. I love that. So before we get to you though, Fuzz, I do want to ask Pong one more question now. I'm only asking this for me. So this is a selfish question on my behalf. So I just want to put it out there. What are we talking about? Now, once again, it's only for me. What are we talking about from a Metacritic standpoint? What do you think Starfield's going to hit?
From a Metacritic standpoint, well, again, because my hype, I'm going to say, knowing their previous history, assuming everything is real that we've kind of heard, and my hype is real, and I trust Todd and the team, and this is his baby. I think Starfield hits a 93 to a 95.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know
okay.
what? You know what? It will.
Yep.
It will.
I mean, again, most of their games have been in the 90s.
Even what was Fallout 4?
Even broken Skyrim was like a 93, I think I want to say, and that was broken in 92.
What was Fallout 4?
Fallout 4 was, oh god, I'll have to go back and look. I can't remember.
Oh, I think Blue Moon said 92.
Yeah,
is that
like
Blue
that.
Moon you said 92? Is that Fallout 4 was a 92?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're always right in those low marks. And with the scope of Starfield, and again, remember, Todd doesn't give out review copies anymore. So he's not going to give out the review copies early. So we're going to be slow in getting, unless they change their mind on Starfield. Todd said previously they'll be lucky to get them 24 hours in advance. He hates that whole process. So there's going to be reviewers that, the Bethesda titles are so hard to review because you can mainline the narrative, but you're missing 90% of the game by not doing anything else. So it's going to take the reviewers a while to start coming out, and we're going to get them probably on a slow kind of roll from people, depending on how much time they put into it. But I still expect at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that they are, 93 to a 95 is a good spot for Starfield for sure. Game of the Year material, all their games have been up for Game of the Year awards. I mean, again, it's the history that I'm talking about. Fallout 76 doesn't count. And I'm sorry, if you guys want to argue that, we can argue that all day long.
You know what?
It wasn't as 18.
Okay. It's okay now. It's okay now.
Yeah.
It was horrendous when it first came out.
Yes, and it's a much better game, but that wasn't the A team anyways. So it doesn't count. Todd put his name on there, but that was a ZeniMax money grab that they were trying to get before they sold. That's all that was. So that doesn't count for me. So
all right, Fuzz, where you at on this, man?
No, I think Pong wrapped it up nicely as far as the case and stuff. And we kind of talked about this long ago about the 323, which, it does have a significance with NASA and things along those lines. I didn't even know why NASA used that date so much, but it was one of those things where, the flying, the Wright brothers. So yeah, that fits. But let's just talk about In Exile real quick. Like, they are known for doing that subliminal message stuff or like hidden message in a tweet. So they definitely put something there with a lot of extra words in a way with the semicolons, because you don't even have to put a colon for to be clear. They could have just said to be clear, blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
No, they
over there grammar checking, huh, Fuzz?
Yeah, they did that on purpose. Like I forget what it was when we were trying to look at their potential the name for their next game, which I think we found their VR title in some of the words that are jumbled on the website type of thing. It was like a not a needle hunt or a mouse hunt or a rat hunt or whatever, but it was just they have like weird cryptic messages in their tweets to the point where it's like they're telling us exactly, just kind of like the way Phil used to have the Series S on the shelf kind of thing. They're all about that life. They're the ones that are like, oh, Phil can get away with it, we can get away with it type of thing. So I totally believe that 32323 deal, they kind of confirmed it. It's like we kind of thought it all along. I think they pretty much confirmed it. But like you said, who's going to believe us? Who's going to listen to the few of us on the internet that say it until it's actually confirmed in the show that will probably be announced next week type of thing.
I'll just DM him right now. I'll just ask him.
There you go. There you go.
Right?
You do it.
Pick that green phone up and then give him a call.
No, but I think even like originally we thought Redfall was going to come before Starfield, and I think kind of like what we had talked about on Xbox Ultimate last night, where you put your best foot forward with Starfield. Not that that's a slight in any way to Redfall, but what's going to draw people to the platform. What's going to get people talking more. Like a new IP that's not as hype driven or searched on Google and stuff like that with Redfall right now. You lead off with that. It could hit, it could miss, it could do well, but not to the point where you have that spike in attention drawn to the platform. You start off with Starfield, the one that a lot of people were hoping was last year and are still like, oh, I should be playing, and I took time off from work, and
why are you describing me right now, Fuzzy? Because I cry myself at night to sleep. You're using my words, brother.
I'm sorry. No, but it's one of those things where I think that's the game you lead off with, because and you mentioned it in the show, so that way the people that are going to take off work, which I know there's going to be plenty of them along with you, Pong, that are going to take that week off or weekend or however to at least get a good start in the game. I think that's the one they lead off with, and it's going to wind up coming before Redfall, and I think March with the 323 aspect, I think that's like a perfect timing, because you've already missed the flood of games that are third party for February, and you already have some of those games coming to Game Pass, so you already have February full with meals for your platform for February, so that's covered. But if you want to blow the roof off of it come March, you put Starfield there, and the way Starfield is going to basically have a lot of people no life in that game for a while, it gives it plenty of room between then and May for you to be able to get into Redfall. I mean, there's still going to be people that are going to be playing this game 10 years from now, but you're going to have a lot of those that just came to the service for this game that may only do the main line or may only do a few other things, and then something else comes out at that point that they come May they step away from it. But I think this is the spike in the ground basically that Xbox starts the year off with as far as their best foot forward. I'm still a little worried where Forza lands. Like, I would love for it to be before June, but just my gut's kind of telling me it's after. But it is what it is. But Starfield, my hype level, being a sci-fi fan, it's already through the roof. And because this seems to lean more Star Trek-ish than Star Wars-ish, not that I don't like Star Wars or anything, I'm just more
until the mods get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He doesn't like Star Wars?
No,
No,
I like both Star Wars and Star Trek, but I'm leaning more of a Trek fan, just because it feels more real. I guess that's
all right. I didn't want to have to throw hands up in here.
No, but I think this game comes out March. It's going to land well. Now, I hope it hits 90s, but I can already hear the one or two critics that are purposely going to poo-poo the review for stupid reasons, like, oh, there's too many planets, I don't know what to do. They're the ones that are going to possibly draw it down to an 89. Like, I'm thinking 87 to 89, and that's still freaking awesome. And it will probably be one of the higher rated games for the year overall. So, I mean, sure, Redfall stands a chance of being, mid to upper 80s as well. Forza stands a chance of being in the 90s, but I think when you look at everything that's releasing, including Keys to the Kingdom or whatever the next Breath of the Wild is, I think that's that winds up still easy. Yeah, I think that one may not even top Starfield's score. Like, I'm not pooing on it. I have a feeling they're going to be almost neck and neck basically for the year. So they'll have similar scores, either high 80s.
Starfield is going to be game of the year. We know this.
I hope so. I want it to be, but well, actually, I want Forza to be, but they unfortunately won't ever.
It will never be. Game of the year. A racer will never be game of the year.
No, but Starfield, it's going to blow people's minds when we hear it's 32323, or at least from the U.S. standpoint, as far as how we put our numbers for the calendar. I think that's going to blow a lot of people's minds, and then there'll be the people like, oh, it'll probably get delayed again, but no, we'll all be playing this in March and enjoying it, and Twitter will be quiet because everybody will be playing the game instead of playing Twitter. That's all I got.
Man, it's gonna be crazy. Just hearing about Starfield and the potential, and I can't wait. And this is where I'm at, Pone. This is the most excited I am because I can't wait to hear those trickles of people that are starting to play it. And maybe I know you said you've kind of heard some rumblings here and there, but I can't wait to hear more of that and start to really get into it and start to hear more people saying, like, look, man, and really get a general idea on, like, is this gonna be another generational title. I do think it's going to be 90 plus as well. I think probably low 90. I think like a 93, 92, 93. I think it'll probably sit in that range. It'll still be a phenomenal game of the year nominee, easy, and one of the best games that comes out all year. But we're talking about some stiff competition. You talk about, Tears of the Kingdom.
You talk
this
about year especially. It's gonna be crazy.
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner. Whatever else comes out the end of this year. So I mean, they got some staunch competition. So
what's your date though, PTK? You haven't said
my
yours.
date. Yeah. So, man, I didn't really like.
You asked the question. Come on.
No. So I initially thought it was going to be sooner. I was never with like the June date. I always thought that was a bit too far into the year. You don't want it like super close to E3. Not that it would be a bad thing, and Starfield's big enough to come out whenever they want it to. But I do think you want it earlier than, like earlier in the year if possible. So I always thought the first 3 or 4 months. So March, I mean, you've kind of convinced me that March sounds about right. Now I didn't know about all the the important stuff, the NASA related stuff and the Wright brothers stuff. I didn't know about that. So that makes it even more important. And it does make sense, especially, if we start talking about the showcase coming up as far as when they're going to announce it. Showcase, say, for instance, it's in the next week or two. That makes sense, because we're already halfway through January by then. That's plenty of time to ramp up for the game, maybe give the game its own little showcase, maybe have another dev diary before the game releases. Who knows what they do for the actual rollout itself. So that makes sense. I'm with that date. It makes sense. I'd love for it to come out before anything else and be that first major first-party game that drops this year. And like you said, I think it sets the right tone. If it hits the way I'm hoping it does, it sets the right tone and it says, look, Xbox is here to play. You know what I mean? Like, this is where we're going forward. This is what it's going to look like going forward. This is what you're going to be able to expect for first party.
Correct. Yep. 100%. And springtime is, like I said, it had to have hit milestones to make this happen. We did heard from Tim Dog on Twitter that it did hit a milestone, and he does know some people on the inside. So, it's a lot of assumptions. There's no guarantee, obviously, as much as I presented the case. A lot of it is my own hype involved too, as well, and a lot of gut feeling, obviously. But if you could get that game out, that's the way you start the year. Again, spring. And then fall, winter are the two important parts. Now, gaming has changed, but historically, that's when we've gotten the big games, is those 2 points. So again, Redfall sliding to the summer, to the May, makes a lot of sense for that type of game as well, to slide there.
You put out Redfall around Tears of the Kingdom. Isn't Tears of the Kingdom in May as well?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Nintendo Switch players are Nintendo Switch players.
That's true. It's going to sell 20 million. It doesn't matter.
It's an exclusive. It doesn't matter as much. Sure, do you get as much, publicity out of Redfall if there's a Tears of the Kingdom that everybody is raving about? Of course not. But again, for Redfall, the bar is set lower. There not a lot of people are expecting it. So if it does hit, enough people are going to be writing about it. There's going to be enough people playing it, streaming it, that it's going to get its sunshine as well. So I don't worry about that so much anymore. And again, gaming habits have changed dramatically from when we first started gaming, and now people game year round. That game's going to be available in Game Pass. When anybody wants to jump in, they're going to be able to jump in. It's totally different scenarios now. So I think Redfall's fine there. I don't have a problem with it.
Awesome. And so we got one more question here to wrap it up, and it is a question from Jedi Knight Peter. Shout out to Jedi Knight Peter watching the show. He said, question, will Xbox have a showcase in January? I think that's a resounding yes. I think, we'll go all around here individually, and obviously we'll start with our guest here, Doom. So Doom, you want to go ahead and answer that question? Will Xbox have a showcase in January?
No.
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 When?
Yeah, we're
when
not.
Do you think it is?
No. When then?
I don't think they're going to have a showcase at all until E3. Like, is this something that you guys think is going to happen?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of
there's been a lot of talk.
I mean, again, when PTK says showcase, we're not talking about E3 size showcase. We're talking about like a Nintendo Direct State of Play show. That's what we're talking about.
No. They'll probably all right. If we go ahead with the whole, when Starfield is coming out, are we vibing with March? I don't know.
Okay.
I think that'd be cool if they were to do a small showcase in March. I think that would be really good, especially with the launch of Starfield. So let's say maybe the beginning of March, and that way they can sort of like, you know, build some hype throughout the beginning of the month for the release.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Fine.
Once again, no issues there. So yeah, I do think that. I mean, I think that they're gonna have it this month. I mean, I think it's been hinted at enough from all the way back to the Aaron Greenberg tweet that we got after the VGAs in December. I think that was enough proof that they have something in the chamber. They have something ready. I think from that point forward, we knew there was something coming. There's been a lot of talk about when. Some people are saying this next week even. We can hear something within the next like 3 or 4 days. So we'll keep an eye out. These things are always real fickle. That's what I will say, Doom. And nothing's written in stone. I want to make sure
I know.
make sure that's clear.
I'm not really like, I don't analyze every single tweet.
It's all good. It's all
fair. So
I've got other stuff going on. So yeah. But I honestly, my mind is actually blown. Like, if I don't even know how I'm forming words right now, because the amount of
information
about this Starfield, like,
yes.
you just I love it, but I'm also dead. Thank you, Pong Soul. You have made me speechless.
Yeah, I think PTK that this is. We've settled in. If it's not January, it'll be the beginning of February when they do this. This is a start of a new marketing cycle for Xbox. They weren't at the VGAs for a reason. Aaron Greenberg tweeted it out, obviously, right after the VGAs for a reason to say, "Hey, not too long, you'll see." They are going to, and I believe this is something we've been talking about now for nearly 2 years, PTK. We can go back to boom shows when I first started podcasting, when the ZeniMax deal was announced. How are they going to handle all this content? How are they going to make sure all of these games each year when the avalanche starts, and this includes first party, second party, third party, it doesn't matter. How are they going to give each game its proper spotlight and make sure people are aware that it's coming? And we all talked about this. This was a criticism of their marketing. You got to do something to fill the holes between big shows, like the showcase in E3, the VGAs. You got to have something in there to get those games that are coming out in between. And this is the year that they start. Again, Nintendo Direct, State of Play type smaller shows. Now, I had thought maybe this one shows up like an XO, but Jez has got me, Jez and Rand talked about it, and they both got me thinking that no, probably not. More of a direct style showcase with one big game like Starfield, and then maybe a smaller game announcement like the Tango Gameworks game that Grubb talked about that they are going to announce. He thought at this show, whatever it turns out to be as well, and then maybe a sizzle reel of the Game Pass games that are coming out shortly, the big third party stuff, all that good stuff. I think that's a nice tight 30-minute window. Maybe something like that. Maybe extend it, maybe 45 if you're going to blow out Starfield big time. But I think that's what we get this time around. And I think end of January, beginning of February is the perfect spot for it. So I think that's what we're going to get an announcement, maybe even next Tuesday. So
I like it. I like it. Where are we at on this one, Fuzz?
I'm thinking next Tuesday we get some sort of word of when the show will be. I think this January or late January show, which I'm figuring it's probably better to do it sooner rather than later. So I think it has to be before the end of January. Will be like the 6 months to the or whatever in between now and E3 kind of like highlight where we get more of like release dates for the known quantities like Starfield, which we hear about the 323, and then we hear about May something for Redfall and whatever date they have for Forza. I think that's going to be part of the focus, and then the other focus will be what's coming to Game Pass for February. And then I think just before Starfield is released, you get like your state of play style 30 minutes, talk with Todd, talk with the team, see more gameplay, see a mission on one of those procedurally generated planets that has like at least one handcrafted location or something like that on it. So you kind of get the feel for what to expect on a handful of the planets that you'll initially come across, and see some of the choices that you can make, or some of the bad decisions you can make as they either make it run out of fuel or make their ship get shot up to where it needs repair, type of thing, to show how much of a range of things you can get into, type of thing. But yeah, I think a bigger, not really a bigger show, but like a bigger showing end of January, and then something late February, more along the lines of State of Play. Another one like the end of April or beginning of May for Redfall, and then wherever Forza lands, they'll probably do like their Twitch and YouTube co-stream thing that they normally do, like Forza Monthly, but where it's a deeper dive. But that's all I got.
Okay. All right. I think a lot of us are on the same page about where Starfield is going to drop, man. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up on that note, man. So once again, I appreciate everybody in chat. You guys have all been amazing. This has been a phenomenal, great start, great show. Here, first show of 2023. You guys are rocking out with us. A lot of new faces. Once again, subscribe if you're new. If it's your first time here, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll come back and do it again with us next week. We'll have a phenomenal guest next week as well. But before we get into the future, we do have to talk about the present, and we do want to make sure we give a shout out to our phenomenal guest, Doom Cutie. Once again, a gamer of many hats. She is a streamer. She podcast host, social media influencer, does a lot of things for the community. Once again, all her information is in the description below. Please go show some love. Follow her here at the Shop Podcast. Follow her, everything she's doing as well. But Doom, once again, thank you from just me to you, and I'm sure my fellows here will get into it as well, for hanging out with us. It has been an amazing experience. You are a friend of the show. You can come on the show anytime you see fit. So we appreciate having you here, but let everybody know where they can find you at, Doom.
Oh, thank you so much. You boys are amazing. And honestly, you blow my mind every time I'm on here. Just amazing. You guys are excellent at your craft, and anyway, you can find me mostly Twitter. If you want to chat to me, talk games, want to share something with me, tag me and stuff. I love that. I'll see that. Love it. Twitter, and I stream on Twitch. So my new Twitch stream schedule will be out tomorrow. So look out for that. And yes, 2023 is going to be an amazing year. We knew this. We knew this already. And I'm so excited to share it with you all. There's so many exciting things this year, you guys. Let's just show love. Just show love. Thank you for letting me be here.
Awesome. Shout out to you once again, guys. Do her a big favor. Go, follow everything she's doing. She is amazing influencer. Like I said, just person in general. Very, very high quality, writer as well. So please go show some support, follow her and everything she's doing. That's what we do here at the Shop Podcast. We got to show the guests proper love for coming out and hanging with us and spending a little time. So thank you once again, Doom, for spending a little time with us. Even with the gigantic time difference, we made it work. Right. So we figured we made it work. It worked out. So shout out to you, man. But let's go ahead and throw this over to my two amazing co-hosts. They make me look good every week, So if we're being honest, we'll start with you, Pong. Pong Harvey, once again, had a phenomenal start. Shout out to Steel, living split screen early this morning. Got the wheels greased, got them ready to go for our show here at the Shop Podcast. But awesome, brother, having you here. But let everybody know where they can find you if they don't know already.
Of course, sir, and what a great show, PTK and Fuzzy, as always, brothers. Best way to end my Saturday night is right here with you guys. Love it. And then, of course, PTK, you're always coming through with amazing guests, but Doom Cutie, you knocked it out of the park. Again, love hearing different voices, different perspectives. It's great. That's the best part about doing this podcasting and listening to podcasts, is hearing different voices in the community and what they think. So thank you for being here. And again, to the moon with you and what you're doing with all of your content. It's absolutely fascinating to watch. It's great to see, and I can't wait to see what's next for you. So thank you for sharing your time here with us tonight on the Chop Podcast. It was awesome. Otherwise, you guys all know the drill. It's Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. where I just passed 3,500 into the new year followers.
Awesome,
Shout
man.
out
Congrats,
to everybody.
Congrats, man.
I don't celebrate personal milestones very often, but 3,500 was a big number. So I got to share that out. Thank you all who do follow me. Again, I'm not as active as I used to be during the pandemic for obvious reasons, real life back to normal again, but I'm still there. I'm still retweeting stuff all the time. News coming across my feed is getting put out there. And I do throw out my own content, my little gameplay clips or pictures, because I'm always in photo mode on my games as well. So, but thank you all for that. Otherwise, next week, it won't start up on Tuesday afternoon on Xbox Factor. I did actually make an Xbox Factor show. Yes, it's been months thanks to my real job, but I actually did show up last Tuesday, so go check that out. We had a great panel. We had a full panel. Boom puts on some of the best content in this community 5 days a week, but Xbox Factor is for all good things green. That starts at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, so you got to show up and listen no matter what. Keep your eyes and ears open for Tuesday night. Haven't confirmed as of yet, but I'm going to try to make it happen. So Tuesday night might have something going on. I'm sure you all can guess. It's not my first time there, but it's a big show. So you guys can probably guess what it is. But I might be showing up there Tuesday night. We'll see how that goes down. Otherwise, Thursday night is the place over on Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, p.m. in the p.m., Pong and Mav in the p.m. It will be a two-man show this week as we don't have a guest, but keep your ears open, your eyes open for 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, we are going to have a big deal guest, but this week it'll be me and Mav. We have a great community building on Thursday night, so show up there. We have a great time. Mav and I catch up over our week, and we get the chat involved just like Steele and I do on Saturday mornings. So be there for PM to PM. Friday nights, it's back on Xbox Ultimate, of course, on Fun Speculations channel. We're going back to 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, it sounds like. We had moved an hour up, but we might come back again. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Xbox Ultimate every Friday night, where we go up, we go down, we go left, we go right. We have tons of laughs, but we talk a lot of gaming news as well. So join us there. Saturday mornings is where it's at. We didn't get to mission 1K in 2022 like we had, but we got to about 700. Still raised the bar even more for us. So in 2023, we are now mission 3K for living split screen. So we're going to need some help, folks. And you guys have been doing an amazing job. We, again, have built a small but just awesome community every Saturday morning. Living split screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. 3+ hours. Normally it's 4 or more between me and Steele, because we like to talk. We like to hear our own voices, and we get the chat involved there as well. We have a great time every Saturday morning. Be there. And then, of course, I'll be back here again for the Shop Podcast Saturday night, my favorite place to be to end the week of podcasting. This is where I want to be with my brothers PTK and Fuzzy, and whatever amazing guest that PTK has come through. So be back here again. Otherwise, folks, it's the golden age of gaming. 2023 is the year it starts, especially for Xbox. They are going to show up. They're going to show up big, but wherever you're gaming, third parties, Nintendo, Sony, you're going to have great content nonstop. The backlogs, I call it a library now, because I'm never going. This year is going to be with Starfield and Diablo alone, and then you throw an Age of Empires on top of it. Those are hundreds of hours for me. So my library is growing. So this year is what it's all about for everybody. Play what you love what you play. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Thanks, PTK.
Appreciate you, man. Once again, the easiest way to find Pong, just go follow him on Twitter. That's the easiest way to keep up with him. Shout out to you, Pong, every single week, bringing that battery-like energy here to the Shop Podcast. Appreciate you, brother, man. And then next, my brother Fuzzy. Man, how you doing, man? It's been a phenomenal show. A great way to kick off the new year. Obviously, we had a great guest today. But let everybody know where they can find you, Fuzz.
This was awesome tonight, and always love being here with you guys. And Doom Cutie, it was always great having you back on here. So look forward to next time we have you on. Always a pleasure to just chat games with you, and hopefully we can blow your mind with some more of our speculation down stuff down the road. But for anybody that wants to hear my endless ramblings on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter or just about any social media, Fuzzy_Belvedere. And you can also find me on Double Barrel Gaming's channel on Xbox Lunch Break Special on Mondays at 12 noon. And then later in the evening on Fun Speculations channel for FSP or Fun Speculation podcast. Fridays, you can find me on Breakfast with Boom on Double Barrel Gaming channel or Mr. Boomstick's channel at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then later on in the evening on Xbox Ultimate, where it's always, I won't say chaos, but it's always we go left, right, up, down, sideways. Sometimes we get off track where we play random, not board games, but like word games. And then we take more trips to speculation town
Love it.
and stuff. So it's always
That's
a good
beautiful.
time. And then right back here with the family on Shop Podcast on Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Always great to be with you guys. So, man, look forward to next week.
Oh, yeah, and hopefully we got a lot more to talk about. So last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board. Once again, Doom Cutie, it was amazing. Shout out to you once again for hanging out with us. You are a joy and a pleasure to have on the podcast. And once again, to the moon this year with everything that you touch and you have your hands on, that everything, goes as high as it could possibly go. But you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at PTK Blam as well as on Xbox Live. PTK Blam. Once again, come hang out with us next week, man. We do this every single week. You can expect this quality every single week. So come hang out with us. Tell a friend about us. We try to do big things for 2023 as well. So shout out to all you guys. DMs are always open. I love ideas. So I want to get the community involved more and more this year. So let me know what you guys want to see from us here at the Shop Podcast. I'm always, I always embrace new ideas and things like that. So shout out to you guys, but enjoy your evening. Please be safe. Have fun. It is the golden age of gaming. Please go have fun. Play on whatever console system you ever want to play on. As long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter. But we'll see you guys next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later.